Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Discovery Day live stream, June 16th, 2021. We are back with AIML and the chairman, Tim. Tim, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Jack. It's a pleasure being here.
Absolutely. So, just to recap for anybody that's new to our program, our goal is to bring investors those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So companies going after multi-billion-dollar market opportunities with multiple catalysts in place to create shareholder value, and at that inflection point, AIML really meets all three of those criteria. And I think what we're going to do is now I want to kind of start. We're going to talk about the significance of today's news with the University of Alberta. That's going to be the main topic of discussion. But I want to start. You haven't been on for a while, Tim. So we got to. A lot of investors may have forgotten what AIML is. We have new people. So if you can kind of give give us a quick summary of what AIML is doing in the health tech space, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And again, everybody who's watching, really, it's your questions that are the highlights. So participate in the interview, ask Tim your questions, and then decide for yourself if AIML is going to be that 10x to 100x super stock. So Tim, let's start with that quick summary.
Sure. Okay. So the Reader's Digest version for you is that AIML is a company that's focused on artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies. And we're looking to acquire companies in the digital healthcare space that are involved with artificial intelligence. Our first acquisition in that space is a company by the name of Healthcage. And Healthcage is a really exciting company and product. And it's a leading digital health solutions provider in the wearable tech space. Now, what's wearable tech? It's things like this. This is our latest generation called the Phoenix. And so what you have here on my wrist here today is a product that can measure my blood pressure, my heart rate variability, my temperature, blood oxygen levels, my respiratory rate, steps, activity, sleep patterns, and a whole bunch more. So everything that your doctor spends the first 5 or 10 minutes in your annual physical checking you for, this does it for you all day long, every day, 24 hours a day, while you're asleep, while you're stressed, while you're hungry, while you're cold. And so it's giving actionable, meaningful, real-time data back to you and to your healthcare provider with respect to what's going on with your health biometrics. And so that was the first investment that we made. And Healthcage is more than just a wearable, though. What we have is the complete end-to-end solution that's three pieces. First, there's the wearable. Second is the phone app that's both Apple and Android configured. And third, and most important, is our cloud-based artificial intelligence-driven platform that aggregates all that data, applies the artificial intelligence to bring out the other side, very meaningful and actionable, immediate information, both for you as a wearer, as a user, and for your healthcare team, your doctors, your therapists, your nurses, your pharmacists, and so on and so forth. So it's a complete end-to-end solution to help you make better health decisions that will improve your life.
Okay. Now, one thing I just caught, which was interesting, that you said that Healthgage is the first acquisition.
Yes.
So you have now. Do you have other acquisitions planned in kind of the health tech space, or what else are you looking at? I mean, I don't want to distract from the main story, but I just noticed this is the first. We've had you on before. This is the first time you said like this. It seems like there's more things to come.
There definitely is. So again, the quick recap is that, quarter one, because we just went public in January of this year. So we're a brand new company. Quarter one, we're getting our feet under us. We raised $4 million. We listed on the CSE in Canada. We put together our board and management team. We brought out our first version of our technology. We launched our e-commerce site. So it was a very productive first quarter. Into the second quarter, we brought out the second generation of the device, which is this. We listed on the OTC QB, but most importantly, what was going on behind the scenes that we weren't talking about publicly during the second quarter. And that was advancing our discussions with other potential acquisition partners, other potential partners, meaning companies that are channel partners for, but also other acquisitions that we've been working on. And I think your viewers are going to be excited by what the next weeks and months are going to bring with respect to some new developments corporately on that front, because we've got a lot of exciting things in the hopper that I think we're going to be able to bring out publicly imminently now.
Okay, I'm going to jump. Okay, I'm going to jump to that later towards the end of the interview, because that sounds like that sounds like there's a lot to talk about there.
Yes.
But I want to talk about really the significance of today's news. With the University of Alberta. Can you explain, what this deal is all about and where the AIML Healthcage?
Yeah, exactly. So this is this Healthcage related, really exciting news for us here today. What we announced was that the University of Alberta, through their business development arm, which is called ST Innovations, which is the leading research facility in Alberta, is funding Healthcage, doing data validation on our product, on this product here, for FDA and Health Canada approval as a medical device. So this is really, really important for us. First of all, it's a really strong endorsement for us to have a facility of the quality of the University of Alberta, taking us on as a project and a partner to help validate our product. So that's a strong validation for us. But more importantly than that is that, number one, getting our product validated as a Class 2 medical device is really, really important, because, again, our business model is B2B, and our potential channel partners that we're in discussions with, and this is companies like insurance companies, hospitals, ACOs, HMOs, Fortune 500 corporations that insure their employees and so on. They all want to see our device as a certified medical device. So for us to take our discussions to the next level, meaning actual partnerships with these sorts of entities, we need to finish our validation of the medical device. So this work is extremely important towards that end.
How long is that going to take? How long do you think it'll take to get that Class 2 medical device?
Yeah, of course, when you're going through FDA approvals, there's never any guarantees from the regulators, but we're using really strong partners that are FDA certified agents that do all the filing paperwork for us, and they feel that it's no more than about a 60 to 90 day process from end to end to get through it.
Okay. Wow, 60 to 90 days for the class 2. Okay, but in the meanwhile, you're still going ahead, in terms of signing up customers and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should mention too that process, that FDA approval process, hasn't just begun. We undertook that over a month ago now, so we're well into that process. This piece of it with the University of Alberta is just a new and additional piece to that validation process. So it's additional data validation work, but the actual paper flow process with the FDA started well over a month ago. So we're well into that process.
Okay. Now. I think it'll be I think it's important that we recap kind of the business model, SaaS subscription model, because it's very compelling. When you can just how does it work and how big can you scale it?
Yeah, exactly. So again, our primary focus is B2B. We do have a retail site, an e-commerce site, so any of your viewers can go on to healthgage.com, click on products and buy a unit, and that's great. And it's an interesting revenue stream for us. But our primary business model is through partnering with the sorts of companies that I mentioned a minute ago: insurance companies, ACOs, HMOs, other healthcare organizations and hospitals, and large corporations that self-insure their employees' medical plans. And so the beauty of that sort of business model is that you close one partnership, and you've signed on many thousands or tens of thousands of users to your product all at once by signing on that one channel partner.
And each month, it's per users. How much per month? I think you said it was like
right. And so the model that we've developed within this B2B structure is what's commonly called in the industry a SaaS, so software as a service. So think of companies like Dropbox or Netflix. They're providing you software and window dressing it as a service, and you pay every month for that service. It's the same sort of model for us, and so we're looking at monthly subscriptions of $20 per user within these large organizations, and of course there's the added cost for purchasing the hardware over and above that.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, the SaaS model, it's obviously a very attractive model. You're getting it's a very exciting space. Okay, and okay, so let's talk about like what kind of traction. I know you haven't been on for a while, but I know you've been busy. You guys have a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
There's a lot of deals in the works. So what kind of traction have you gotten in terms of what kind of milestones traction with subscriber growth and all that?
Yeah. So at this point, there's two levels of subscription. There's a more basic subscription, and this is $5 a month, and on the retail side, and this subscription is ideal for those with some sort of chronic management issue, whether it's diabetes or pain management or heart issues, blood pressure, and so on, that want to aggregate data over days, weeks, months, and all the data that I was talking about before. So things like your blood pressure, your heart rate variability, ECGs, PPGs, sleep patterns, and so on. All that gets aggregated onto your personal platform that you then and only you can share with your healthcare team, with your doctors, nurses, therapists, pharmacists, and so on. That platform is available on a subscription basis for $5 a month. Then there's a far more robust plan that we put in place in partnership with another company called MyViva, and it's adding the more human touch along with our hard analytics data that's being aggregated. And what I mean by that is the piece that MyViva adds to it is nutritional counseling, meditation, yoga, mental health counseling, and so on. So it's more of the overall well-being as opposed to the hard analytic data that we provide. Both are extremely important and useful, but they service a different side of the marketplace. That program in conjunction with MyViva is for $20 a month. We went live with that in the first quarter of this year, and the first numbers will be coming out from that imminently now. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to report back as to what our sales have looked like in this first quarter, along with what our subscriptions have looked like. All that on the retail side, while we're primarily focused on getting some of these agreements in place with the channel partners on the B2B side.
Okay, so we're going to jump into a couple of questions, but so one of the things that recently, you started trading on the over-the-counter, so AIMLF, which is very helpful. That's a big benefit. Okay, so let's jump to the first question from Ramsey. Does this deal with University of Alberta give AIML access to the University of Alberta's other research in healthcare software and hardware?
Yes, it does. In fact, and we do have a very robust relationship with the University of Alberta. And in fact, Randy Duguay, who you've had on this program before, who's the CEO of Healthcage, that's right. He actually sits on the advisory board for ST Innovations. And so our relationship with the University of Alberta goes, very deep. And they have other very, very important and useful pieces for us. For example, they have an extremely robust artificial intelligence laboratory. And I can tell you that we have a lot of different work going on with them currently within that laboratory. They also have, recently implemented a supercomputer. And again, this allows for the aggregation of data and the processing of data like this, what used to take, weeks or months to sort out, now using, some of these supercomputer assets. You get your results almost instantaneously, and we have access to that. So yes, we in fact are well integrated with many different programs within the University of Alberta, and we'll continue to benefit from those relationships going forward.
Okay. Ramsey is asking another question. So is it $20 per month per subscriber? Is that, I think he's asking, is that part of the employee benefit plan? Does the company pays for it, right?
Right. Okay. And so and again, that model can end up being a little bit different because, these are all one-on-one negotiations and discussions. And so, part of that will ultimately, be a function of who it is we're negotiating with, and if it's a very large insurer that's porting over tens or many tens of thousands of users, obviously they're going to get a little better price on it than a small organization.
It's interesting. So there's a lot of benefits actually for the employees, the companies, in terms of, and I think there's a lot of things. It's kind of like your timing might be, it could be very interesting because, right now you have companies which have thousands of employees. So where, this is an addition, there's a labor shortage in the US, right? There's the whole, and there's more, focus on employee health or whatever, all these things. So, for example, a company like FedEx, they could give this, they could have all their delivery people, whatever, wear one of these, or I don't know, like Uber. There's a whole bunch. I mean, there's countless companies which have, thousands of employees where, they do want to keep an eye on kind of, their health or whatever, and help the employee, helps the company, the insurance, there's a lot of benefits. And one of the things you mentioned actually, which I thought was very compelling one of the first times you're on is a use case where it can be given to truck drivers, because then they need to. Now those guys actually, by law, they need to monitor how much time they're sleeping every day.
That's right.
They have to take a certain amount of time off. From driving, all these things, the blood pressure, etc. Make sure they're not, they didn't have a 6-pack that morning before they started driving. Those type of things.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And to add to that, what a lot of companies are going to, I'm quite familiar with some of the corporate models in Europe, and rather than increasing pay, they increase benefits to workers, and the workers love it. And one of the areas where the workers enjoy really robust benefits is on the healthcare side, and the workers believe that it's all for their benefit to have these really robust healthcare plans being provided to them by their employers. But what they don't realize is that the employers have figured out that it's in their best interest as well, because it's a lot cheaper, to provide your truck driver, for example,
Yeah.
a unit like this for $100, than to wait for him to have a heart attack while he's out on the road and crash his rig, and the cost that's associated with dealing with that after the fact. So.
Yeah, and again, one of the other things is that, again, because you're able to monitor kind of the health, it's a little bit like we kind of talk about like those devices that car insurance companies they send you. You stick it in the whatever, and it monitors like, are you like basically it's able to monitor like how your driving style. Are you like an aggressive driver? Are you driving over the speed limit? Sudden braking. I think that's the thing they look for, sudden braking. So. And if you're like a good driver, they give you a lower rate. So here, based on monitoring your health, like, hey, people are able to get lower rates or whatever. Company wide. There's a lot of benefits. Question from Andrew: is your product capable of being used as a medical diagnostic tool in a clinical setting?
So at this point, it's not a medical tool at all. We are going through the approvals for it to be considered as a Class 2 medical device. And there certainly are some diagnostic capabilities to it in that, for example, we are able to provide to your healthcare team a very, very robust, accurate ECG and PPG signal, as an example, and through that, your healthcare team can potentially see if there is some heart issues that they weren't aware of that didn't show up on regular screening and so on and so forth. So it certainly has that capability of being prognostic and diagnostic.
We got a couple minutes left, so I want to see if we can answer as many questions as possible. Sandeep, interesting comment, question. Should be interesting to see police, fire services take this on to monitor during high intensity incidents.
You know what? Your viewer is he's got ESP or something, because I had this conversation just yesterday with the head of an EMS unit where they were talking about the idea of using units like this, like ours, in an accident scene, especially on the EMS side. Obviously, when an ambulance shows up, they've got all the equipment at hand, but the police do not. They come with nothing, and so the idea, and frankly, they're just not trained beyond just real basic first aid. So the idea that police can come on to an unresponsive person. They don't know if that person has had a heart attack or just passed out or had a stroke or what. And so the idea that the policeman can strap this on their wrist and get some real meaningful lifetime data that can be ported over to the EMS service, and so that the first responders will have a good understanding of what's going on with that unresponsive person before the ambulance ever gets to the scene. I had that very conversation yesterday with the head of a service, and so it is something that we're looking at, and it's a tremendous application.
Question from Dino: how much does the wristband? How much does the device cost?
Very good question, and I'm sorry I didn't answer that sooner. We're selling these for $150 Canadian.
I mean, but the real money is in the monthly subscription. This is like
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we enjoy a good margin on these products, and so that's fine. We're happy to have that revenue stream as well. But again, our primary objective is signing up the big customers, the insurers, the hospitals, the Fortune 500 companies who want to supply our product and our service to the base, to their base. The other thing that I want to mention, because sooner or later the question is going to come up, and somebody's going to ask, well, what about my Apple Watch, my Fitbit, my Samsung Watch? And it's a really good question. Our sweet spot is taking the data that's been aggregated and applying our artificial intelligence magic to it to, to spit out the actionable, meaningful results at the back end. And we really don't care how that data is aggregated, as long as it's good, clean, usable data. To that end, over the balance of this year, so before this year is out, we will have synchronized our backend, our platform, and our phone app with the Apple Watch, the Fitbit, Samsung, and a couple of the other major products out there. So if you already own those devices and want to use them with our platform, we're happy to have that.
Tim, we're gonna wrap up in just like 2 minutes here. So I want to get back to some. You mentioned earlier on that Healthcage, which is this business, pretty much this business you're talking about. This is the subsidiary of AIML.
Yes.
This is one of the first acquisitions. What other acquisitions are you looking to make, and what what market, what areas of the market?
Sure. So our primary focus has been to stay in the digital healthcare realm, for the obvious reasons. Digital healthcare is an industry that's come into its own, and it's not going away. The one thing that you'll find in common throughout the world, whether it's a completely privatized healthcare system like the US, a blended system like Canada, or a completely government-run system like Europe, the one thing that all those systems and users of those systems have in common is that everybody complains that they cost too much and the outcomes aren't good enough. Along came digital healthcare, and along with that, the ability to do both, provide more meaningful, beneficial outcomes to the patients, to the users on one side, and on the other side, reduce the cost of the healthcare system. So we believe that this is not an industry that's going away, and all the analysts agree with us. Whoever prognostication you watch, the one thing they all agree on is that the industry is looking at double-digit growth for the next decade or more, and it's already an industry worth about $250 billion a year. Okay. So it's a very large and growing industry. So we're happy to stay in that. And of course, artificial intelligence in the digital healthcare space is making all the difference. Again, one thing, yeah.
When do you think we could see some announcements of how far sure. or along are you in this like M&A pipeline to close some of these deals?
We are we've been involved with a couple potential acquisitions for many months now, and it is a process, because there's a significant amount of due diligence that we need to do to make sure that the company is right for us, and vice versa, that the company that we're taking over sees us as a good fit. So the due diligence process takes several months, and that's followed by a negotiation on what the transaction will look like, which also it has its timeline. But we're nearing the end of that.
Especially with you. I mean, you drive a very hard bargain. I mean,
yeah, we
Healthcage deal was very good valuation.
It was a deal that was very friendly to our shareholders, and on the other side of it, if the Healthcage guys do what we all expect that they will do, it'll be very lucrative for them as well. But we put the onus on them to put up or shut up. In other words, they share in the risk.
They're motivated. They're highly motivated to make this.
They're highly motivated to make it a success. Okay. Absolutely. So the short answer, though, is that we are very close on a couple different acquisitions that not only as standalone acquisitions are very, very exciting, but there's tremendous synergy between what they're doing and what Healthcage are doing, meaning that Healthcage and these new acquisitions can benefit and piggyback off each other's technology and off each other's market network. And
so you said very close, meaning what? 30, 60 days we could see an announcement?
I would expect that your viewers should should hope to see some announcements in that time frame, or maybe even sooner. It's getting close, and of course, I'll caution that a deal is never done until it's done. But they're looking imminent. They're getting very, very close. We're very happy with what we're seeing. Both groups, there's a great deal of desire to work together, and so we're just working out the final details. So we're quite excited to see some new additions, coming into the AIML under the AIML umbrella imminently.
Okay, Tim, we gotta wrap up here. So you recently bought stock. You bought 500,000 shares here at 70 cents. Is that correct?
I did. Yes,
okay, so it's you're a believer. Okay.
I obviously, I'm one of the biggest shareholders in the company, and I was before this purchase. I certainly am now, and I'm certainly not looking to sell any of my stock anytime soon.
Okay, so we got some potential M&A activity happening next 30, 60 days. And what else? What are the kind of news flow should we expect in the next
So we should expect some advancement from Healthcage with respect to some of the partnerships that it's working towards. So meaning the first pilot projects to be announced, and maybe even some strategic partnerships being announced.
Okay, Tim, on that note, I want to thank you, and I look forward to having you on very soon for the next update.
Great. It's always a pleasure being here, Jack.
Thank you again.